Welcome to the Investing Podcast, presented by Tusk Media. Now, for your early morning look at financial news and activity in audio and video form, here's the Morning Market Mimosa.
Morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Investing Podcast. It's Friday, July 29th, 2016. Coming at you a little bit late this morning. We want to stagger these broadcasts. It is about 9:55, almost 10 o'clock. Market is open, but this is still your Morning Market Mimosa. We're going to be back a little while later, probably early afternoon with a stock market power lunch. But for now, let's jump in. We're not going to talk about futures because the markets are actually open. So a little change of pace today. Dow down 19 basis points right now. S&P down 5. NASDAQ is up 7. NASDAQ continues its run. Really performed strongly lately. Really since Harambe died. We talked about that yesterday. Global Dow up 58 basis points. Oil down 46 basis points. Oil is now at $40.95 per barrel. So again, that bearish run continues for oil. Not looking great. The big driver, the big story this morning was GDP numbers. GDP numbers came out. We've talked about this before, I think, and it's one of those numbers that it's so interesting that we can just come back and revise things, especially when you look at how much we read into the numbers in real time. So right now, everybody's panicking because Q2 annualized growth of GDP was only 1.2%. That's not as good as people wanted it to be. Now, keep in mind that they're also panicking because we just revised Q1, which maybe tells us that Q2 might be 100% inaccurate. But Q1 was revised down. Previously, it was stated as 1.1% GDP growth. It's now been downgraded to 0.8% projected GDP growth. So Q2 was a little bit rough. A couple numbers that we will draw your attention to. We've got this really fancy spreadsheet right here that some of our analysts popped out for us. Got some things highlighted, some stuff that we can pay attention to. Again, we're talking about 1.2% total GDP growth. A couple numbers that stood out. Gross private domestic investment was down a lot, down 1.68%. Change in private inventories was also an interesting driver right there, down 1.16%. So a negative 1.16% there. That number definitely stood out. So an interesting day. Market's not reacting too harshly, as you could tell. We just talked about it's mostly flat, just down a little bit. NASDAQ's actually up. But just something to keep an eye on throughout the day as people continue to digest those numbers and try to see where that puts us economically speaking. Google, strong earnings. We talked about this at the end of the day yesterday. That's carried over into today. The stock is up about 3% on the day. So that's pretty interesting. Let's talk about the Democratic convention. We talked about the Republicans last week, about the Democrats a little bit this week. A couple takeaways here. I actually fell asleep during Hillary Clinton's speech, which has nothing to do with her and everything to do with me just being tired. So no disrespect there. Bill Clinton, dead or alive? Leave us a 5-star review. Let us know if you think he's dead or alive. Every time they showed him, he was kind of just like that for a while. So it was kind of bizarre just to see him pretend to be alive at times. Interesting. I want to give a big high five out there to the political system as a whole. I've expressed some concerns about the two-party system. I'm not a huge fan of it. I don't love career politicians. But we've got a monumental achievement this year because both the Republicans and the Democrats have found nominees for president whose children want them to be president. That's just absolutely astounding to me. You know, we had Trump kids last week, and guess what? They want Donald Trump to be president. And last night, I was blown away. Chelsea Clinton wants her mother to be president. It's crazy. I love that we are hyping up these speeches by kids. It's the most bizarre thing in the world to me. Chelsea Clinton and Ivanka Trump grew up in the limelight. They've probably been coached on how to speak publicly their whole lives. And of course they want their parents to be president. I want my dad to be president. I want my mom to be president too. Can we do that? Let's figure out how we can make that happen. Why are we so surprised when they give speeches, especially when we heap praise on Chelsea Clinton for saying things like, my mom taught me that public service is about, wait for it guys, public service is about service. That's great stuff. Hillary Clinton has got to be president. It's also about, public service is also about, guess what? The public. Go figure. Now, this has been The Investing Podcast, and I'm teaching you right now that The Investing Podcast is about investing. Y'all have a great morning. We will talk to you this afternoon. See you then.
Tusk Media is a subsidiary of Narwhal Capital Management. Ratings and reviews of Tusk Media content are not to be construed as endorsements of opinions, analysis, or services offered by Tusk or its parent company. The opinions and predictions shared here are professional beliefs at the time of publication. We are not under duress from any of the corporate entities mentioned. This is not a solicitation to take any particular action. Although we are investment advisors, this information should not be considered investment, legal, or tax advice. We strive to be as impartial, insightful, and accurate as possible. We base our opinions, analysis, and calculations on information we believe to be reliable, but we cannot guarantee its accuracy. We can, however, guarantee that our opinions will sometimes be flat out wrong due to a variety of factors. Employees and clients of Narwhal Capital Management may or may not hold positions in the securities detailed and may or may not hold these positions in the future. A full list of all securities purchased, sold, or held during the 12 months preceding the date of this publication can be provided upon request. Unless otherwise noted, all data accessed via MarketWatch or the Bloomberg terminal. Past performance does not guarantee future results. A copy of Narwhal's Form ADV is available at the SEC's website, www.advisorinfo.sec.gov, or from Narwhal upon written request.